4. Peaceful mind, peaceful life. The secret to finding true inner harmony. 5. Spiritual Awakening Book 4. Author, Serafina Hartwell. Narrator/producer, Soul Sanctuary Audio. Copyright Serafina Hartwell. All rights reserved. Overall introduction. The quest for inner peace. In a world that never seems to slow down, where schedules are packed, responsibilities pile up, and digital screens demand constant attention, the pursuit of inner peace can feel like a distant dream. We rush from one obligation to the next, carrying stress like an invisible weight on our shoulders, often mistaking busyness for purpose and exhaustion for achievement. We long for stillness, yet silence feels foreign. We crave clarity, yet our minds are clouded with doubt and worry. But what if there was a way to cultivate true inner peace, not as a fleeting moment of relief, but as a state of being? What if peace was not something we needed to chase, but something we could cultivate from within, regardless of external circumstances? This book will help you embark on a transformative journey inward, where you will uncover the secrets to lasting serenity, emotional balance, and deep self-awareness. Unlike external achievements that can be taken away, inner peace is yours to build, protect, and nurture. Through this book, you will explore practical strategies, timeless wisdom, and scientific insights that will guide you toward a more peaceful mind and a more fulfilling life. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, emotional overwhelm, toxic relationships, or simply the chaos of everyday life, the pages ahead will provide you with a roadmap to reclaiming your calm. You don't have to escape to a remote mountain or give up all worldly possessions to find peace. Instead, you will learn how to weave tranquility into your daily existence, creating a life of clarity, resilience, and joy. Prepare to let go of what no longer serves you. Prepare to embrace a new way of thinking, feeling, and living. Let's begin. Part 1. Understanding Inner Peace. Introduction to Part 1. The Foundation of Serenity. Before we can cultivate inner peace, the idea of peace. Many believe it means an absence of conflict, a life free from hardship or stress. Others imagine it as a distant, almost unattainable state reserved for monks or spiritual gurus. But real inner peace is not about eliminating problems. It is about changing how we respond to them. It's about developing a resilient, centered state of mind that allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. In this section, we will explore what inner peace truly is, why so many of us struggle to find it, and how our modern world often stands in the way of tranquility. We will examine the common obstacles, stress, emotional baggage, negative thought patterns, and begin to unravel the science behind a peaceful mind. This part of the book is about awareness. When we recognize what is blocking our peace, we can take the first step toward freeing ourselves. Let's explore the barriers to inner peace and how to break through them. 1. What is inner peace? Introduction to inner peace. At the heart of every human experience lies a yearning for something deeper, a sense of calm, clarity, and contentment that transcends the chaos of everyday life. This elusive state is what we call inner peace. But what exactly does it mean to have inner peace? Is it simply the absence of conflict or stress? Or is it something more profound? A way of being that allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. This chapter will explore the essence of inner peace, its defining characteristics, and why it matters so much in our modern world. By understanding what inner peace truly is, and isn't, we can begin to recognize its presence or lack thereof in our lives and take meaningful steps toward cultivating it. Defining inner peace. Inner peace is not just a fleeting moment of relaxation after a long day. It is a sustained mental, emotional, and spiritual equilibrium. It is the ability to remain centered and composed regardless of external circumstances. While happiness often depends on external conditions, such as achieving goals, receiving praise, or experiencing pleasurable events, inner peace comes from within. It is an unshakable foundation that remains steady even when life throws curveballs. To better understand inner peace, let's break down its key characteristics. 1. Stillness amidst chaos. A peaceful mind doesn't get swept away by emotions like anger, fear, or frustration. Instead, it observes these feelings without becoming consumed by them. 2. Acceptance without resistance. Inner peace involves accepting reality as it is, rather than constantly fighting against it. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning oneself to negativity, but embracing life's imperfections with equanimity. 3. Freedom from overthinking. When you're at peace, your mind isn't cluttered with endless worries about the past or future. You live fully in the present moment, free from unnecessary mental chatter. 4. Connection to self. True inner peace stems from knowing who you are beyond societal roles, expectations, and labels. It arises when you align with your authentic self and values. 5. Compassion and kindness. A peaceful person radiates kindness, not out of obligation, but because they understand the interconnectedness of all beings. They see others' struggles through a lens of empathy and respond with love. The difference between happiness and inner peace ***. One common misconception is that inner peace and happiness are interchangeable. However, they are distinct states of being. Happiness is often tied to external factors. It might come from landing your dream job, buying a new car, or spending time with loved ones. While these experiences bring joy, their effects are temporary. Once the excitement fades, we may find ourselves searching for the next source of happiness. Inner peace, on the other hand, is independent of external outcomes. It's the quiet confidence that everything will be okay, no matter what happens. For example, imagine losing your job, a situation that would typically trigger anxiety and despair. Someone with inner peace might still feel disappointment, but they won't spiral into panic. Instead, they'll trust in their ability to adapt and find solutions, maintaining a sense of calm throughout the process. This distinction is crucial because chasing happiness alone can lead to dissatisfaction. If we rely solely on external achievements to feel good, we set ourselves up for perpetual craving. Inner peace, however, provides a stable foundation that supports both happiness and resilience during difficult times. How inner peace influences mental, emotional, and physical well-being. The benefits of inner peace extend far beyond feeling relaxed or stress-free. Research shows that cultivating a peaceful mindset has profound effects on our overall well-being. Mental health. A peaceful mind is less prone to overthinking, rumination, and negative thought patterns. You approach problems with clarity and creativity instead. Studies also suggest that mindfulness practices associated with inner peace can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, helping individuals manage their mental health more effectively. Hashtag emotional stability. Emotions are natural and inevitable, but a peaceful person knows how to regulate them. Rather than reacting impulsively to anger or sadness, they pause and reflect before responding. This emotional intelligence fosters healthier relationships and greater self-awareness. Hashtag physical health. The mind-body connection plays a significant role in physical well-being. Chronic stress, which disrupts this connection, has been linked to numerous health issues, including heart disease, weakened immunity, and digestive problems. Conversely, inner peace activates the body's relaxation response, lowering cortisol levels and promoting healing. People with inner peace often report better sleep, increased energy, and improved immune function. Why inner peace matters today. In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world, inner peace feels more important and more challenging than ever. We're bombarded with information, notifications, and demands on our attention. Social media amplifies comparison culture, while global uncertainties fuel anxiety and fear. Against this backdrop, inner peace becomes a radical act of self-care and empowerment. When you cultivate inner peace, you reclaim control over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You become less reactive to external pressures and more intentional in your life. Whether navigating personal challenges, professional responsibilities, or societal upheavals, inner peace equips you with the tools to face adversity with courage and grace. Practical takeaways from this chapter. By now, you should have a clearer understanding of what inner peace entails and why it's worth pursuing. Here are some actionable insights to carry forward. Recognize that inner peace is a skill, not a personality trait. Anyone can develop it with practice. Reflect on moments when you felt genuinely at peace. What contributed to those feelings? Start observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Notice how they influence your behavior. Remember that inner peace isn't about eliminating challenges. It's about changing how you relate to them. As we move into subsequent chapters, we'll delve deeper into the barriers that prevent us from experiencing inner peace and explore practical strategies for overcoming them. We'll embark on a transformative journey toward lasting harmony, one step at a time. 2. The barriers to inner peace. The illusion of control. It was early morning, and the sun had just begun its ascent over the horizon, casting a soft golden hue across the city skyline. Maya sat cross-legged on her yoga mat, staring at the world through her apartment window. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself after another restless night. Her mind buzzed with fragments of yesterday's arguments, looming deadlines, and unanswered questions about her future. She closed her eyes, repeating the mantra she'd learned in a meditation app. Let go. But letting go felt impossible when every corner of her life seemed cluttered, emotionally, mentally, and even digitally. It wasn't just her. Everyone around her was caught in the same whirlwind. Friends complained about burnout, colleagues snapped under pressure, and social media feeds overflowed with curated perfection that only fueled comparison and self-doubt. Maya sighed, opening one eye to glance at her phone, resting nearby. Its screen lit up with notifications, a text from her boss, an email reminder for a meeting, and 3 unread messages from friends asking if she wanted to grab coffee later. Each ping felt like a tiny pebble tossed into an already turbulent pond, sending ripples through her fragile sense of calm. This chapter isn't just about Maya. It's about all of us. We live in a world where we are perpetually distracted, stressed, and disconnected from our true selves. To find inner peace, we must first identify the barriers standing in our way. And trust me, they are formidable foes. Stress, anxiety, and overthinking, the silent saboteurs. Stress is often dismissed as a natural part of modern life, something to endure rather than question. Yet chronic stress doesn't simply fade once the immediate threat passes. It lingers, embedding itself in our bodies and minds. For many, it manifests as anxiety, a constant companion whispering worst-case scenarios into their ears. Take Sarah, a young professional whose story mirrors so many others. Every day, she woke up dreading the endless stream of tasks ahead. Emails piled up faster than she could respond, meetings stretched late into the evening, and her inbox became a black hole of unfinished business. At home, her thoughts raced ahead to tomorrow's challenges, leaving little room for rest or joy. "I can't shut my brain off," Sarah confided during a therapy session. "Even when I'm not working, I'm thinking about work." Or worse, I'm replaying conversations in my head, wondering what I should have said differently. Overthinking is one of stress's most insidious side effects. It tricks us into believing that obsessing over details will somehow prepare us for the unknown. In reality, it keeps us trapped in cycles of rumination, draining our energy and eroding our confidence. To combat this, experts recommend grounding techniques such as focusing on the five senses, what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, to anchor yourself in the present moment. Breathing exercises, journaling, and setting clear boundaries between work and personal time can also help. These tools aren't magic fixes, but they provide a starting point for reclaiming control over your thoughts. Emotional baggage and past trauma, the ghosts that haunt us. While stress and anxiety may feel like external forces pressing down on us, emotional baggage originates from within, or more accurately, from unresolved wounds buried deep in our past. For years, James carried the weight of his parents' divorce without realizing how much it shaped his relationships. He avoided commitment, fearing abandonment, yet craved intimacy more than anything. His romantic partnerships inevitably ended in frustration, as he oscillated between clinging too tightly and pushing people away. "Why do I always sabotage myself?" he asked during a coaching session. "I know I want love, but I can't seem to let anyone get close enough." Trauma doesn't have to be dramatic to leave lasting scars. Sometimes it's the accumulation of small hurts, the dismissive comment from a teacher, the friend who betrayed your trust, the parent who never praised your efforts, that chips away at our self-worth. Left unaddressed, these experiences create patterns of behavior that sabotage our happiness and block our path to inner peace. Healing begins with acknowledgement, writing letters to your younger self, practicing forgiveness both toward others and yourself, and seeking professional support can help untangle the knots of the past. Remember, you don't have to carry this burden alone. There is strength in vulnerability, and there is freedom in releasing what no longer serves you. Toxic relationships and negative influences, the people who drain you. Not all barriers to inner peace come from within. Some stem from the people we surround ourselves with. Toxic, romantic, familial, or platonic relationships are among the most damaging obstacles to personal growth. Consider Lisa, whose best friend Rachel constantly criticized her choices. Whether it was her career decisions, dating life, or fashion sense, Rachel found fault in everything. Initially, Lisa brushed it off, chalking it up to Rachel's blunt honesty. But over time, the negativity wore her down. She started doubting her abilities and second-guessing her instincts. "It's exhausting," Lisa admitted to a mutual acquaintance. "I care about her, but being around her makes me feel small." Toxic individuals thrive on drama, manipulation, and control. They sap your energy, distort your perception of reality, and undermine your confidence. Recognizing these dynamics is the first step toward breaking free. Setting firm boundaries, limiting contact, or ending the relationship altogether may be necessary to protect your well-being. But toxic influences aren't limited to interpersonal relationships. Social media platforms, news outlets, and entertainment industries often perpetuate fear, envy, and dissatisfaction. Curating your digital environment by unfollowing accounts that trigger negative emotions and consuming content that uplifts and inspires can make a significant difference. Cluttered environments and digital distractions, the chaos around us. Finally, let's talk about the spaces we inhabit, both physical and virtual. A cluttered home reflects a cluttered mind. Piles of laundry, stacks of papers, and overflowing closets serve as constant reminders of unfinished tasks, creating subconscious tension. When Emma decided to declutter her apartment, she didn't expect it to transform her mental state. She sorted through old clothes, books, and knickknacks and noticed a shift. Simplifying her surroundings gave her a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. Suddenly, her mornings felt less chaotic and her evenings more peaceful. Similarly, digital distractions fragment our attention and disrupt our ability to focus. Endless scrolling, binge-watching, and multitasking fragment our days into bite-sized moments, robbing us of depth and meaning. Implementing tech-free zones, scheduling screen breaks, and using apps that monitor usage can help restore balance. Conclusion: confronting the barriers. Inner peace requires courage to face the barriers that hold us back. Stress, anxiety, emotional baggage, toxic relationships, and chaotic environments are not insurmountable. We can dismantle these obstacles brick by brick. As Maya rose from her yoga mat, she resolved to tackle one barrier at a time. First, she silenced her phone notifications. Then, she jotted down 3 things she was grateful for, hoping to shift her mindset. Small steps, perhaps, but they were hers, and that made all the difference. These chapters explore practical strategies for cultivating mindfulness, managing emotions, and building resilience. For now, take a moment to reflect. What barriers stand between you and inner peace? Acknowledge them, name them, and commit to addressing them. Your journey starts here. 3. The science of a peaceful mind. The symphony within. The human brain is an intricate symphony, each neuron firing in concert to create the music of thought, emotion, and action. Yet, for many, this symphony feels more like dissonance, a cacophony of competing voices that drown out any semblance of peace. We must first delve into the science behind it. What happens inside our minds when we experience stress? How do thoughts shape emotions? And why does mindfulness hold such transformative power? These questions aren't just academic. They're deeply personal. Maya sat at her kitchen table, sipping chamomile tea as she flipped through a neuroscience book borrowed from the library. Her eyes lingered on a diagram of the brain structure, the amygdala glowing red, the prefrontal cortex rendered in cool blue. She traced her finger along the lines connecting them, marveling at the complexity. For years, she dismissed scientific explanations as too clinical, preferring poetry or philosophy to make sense of her struggles. But now, armed with curiosity, she realized that understanding the mechanics of her mind could be the key to unlocking lasting peace. This chapter invites you to join Maya on this exploration. Together, we'll uncover the fascinating interplay between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors grounded in cutting-edge research. By the end, you'll see your mind not as an enemy, but as a malleable instrument capable of producing profound tranquility. How thoughts shape emotions and behaviors. Every thought you have sends ripples through your body and psyche. Imagine your mind as a garden. If left untended, weeds, negative thoughts will overrun the space, choking out flowers of positivity and calm. This analogy isn't far-fetched. Neuroscientists have discovered that repetitive thinking patterns carve neural pathways in the brain, like water carving channels in rock over time. Consider Tom, a graphic designer who constantly doubted his abilities. Whenever he received feedback on a project, his default response was to assume criticism meant failure. Over time, these automatic negative thoughts became ingrained, triggering anxiety and self-sabotage. His amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting threats, went into overdrive, flooding his system with cortisol, the stress hormone. Even minor critiques felt like existential crises. But here's the good news. Just as negative thoughts reinforce harmful pathways, positive ones can rewire the brain. Through practices like cognitive reframing, individuals learn to challenge distorted beliefs and replace them with balanced perspectives. For instance, instead of thinking, "I'm terrible at my job," Tom should be asking himself, what can I learn from this feedback? This subtle shift didn't erase his discomfort entirely, but it softened its edges, allowing him to respond constructively rather than react impulsively. Research supports this approach. Studies using functional MRI scans show that people who practice mindful awareness exhibit increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region associated with decision-making and emotional regulation. Simultaneously, their amygdalae shrink slightly, reducing the intensity of fear-based responses. In essence, training your mind to think differently doesn't just change how you feel, it physically alters your brain. The role of mindfulness and neuroscience in stress reduction. Mindfulness has become a buzzword, but its roots stretch back thousands of years to ancient contemplative traditions. Modern science has validated what practitioners have long known: mindfulness works. At its core, mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It sounds simple, yet mastering it requires patience and practice. Dr. Elena Martinez, a neuroscientist specializing in mindfulness research, explains the process. When you focus on the breath or observe sensations in your body, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This rest and digest mode counteracts the fight or flight response triggered by stress. To illustrate, imagine Sarah sitting in traffic after a grueling day at work. Normally, she'd fume at the delay, gripping the steering wheel as frustration bubbled over. Today, however, she decided to try a guided meditation app. Closing her eyes, she focused on her breathing, inhaling deeply through her nose and exhaling slowly through her mouth. Gradually, her racing heart slowed and the tension in her shoulders eased. Though the cars around her remained stuck, her internal state transformed. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself, is central to mindfulness's effectiveness. Regular practice strengthens connections between neurons involved in attention, empathy, and self-awareness, while weakening those linked to rumination and worry. A landmark study published in Psychiatry Research found that participants who completed an 8-week mindfulness program showed significant increases in gray matter density in areas related to learning, memory, and emotional regulation. The mind-body connection: how our thoughts impact health ***. Your thoughts don't exist in isolation. They ripple outward, influencing every aspect of your well-being. Chronic stress, fueled by relentless negative thinking, wreaks havoc on both mental and physical health. Elevated cortisol levels suppress immune function, increase inflammation, and raise the risk of cardiovascular disease. Conversely, cultivating a peaceful mind enhances resilience, boosts immunity, and promotes longevity. Take James, a middle-aged accountant plagued by migraines and insomnia. Doctors prescribed medication, but the relief was temporary. Desperate for answers, he turned to yoga and meditation. Over months, he noticed remarkable changes. Not only did his headaches diminish, but his energy levels soared. Blood tests revealed lower markers of inflammation, confirming what he already felt. His body was healing. The mind-body connection operates through multiple pathways. One crucial link is the vagus nerve, which connects the brain to vital organs like the heart, lungs, and digestive tract. Activating this nerve via deep breathing, chanting, or even laughter stimulates relaxation responses throughout the body. Similarly, studies show that gratitude practices boost serotonin production, fostering feelings of contentment and joy. A practical experiment: rewiring your brain. Understanding the science is one thing, applying it is another. Let's return to Maya, who decided to conduct her own experiment. Each morning, she set aside 10 minutes to meditate, focusing on her breath and observing her thoughts without attachment. Initially, her mind wandered incessantly, pulling her toward worries about bills, unfinished projects, and awkward social interactions. Rather than berating herself, she gently redirected her attention, treating each distraction as a curious visitor rather than an unwelcome intruder. By week 3, something had shifted. The intrusive thoughts still came, but they lost their grip. She noticed moments of clarity during the day, pausing before reacting to a coworker's sharp comment, choosing kindness over defensiveness. Small victories, yes, but they added up. She also incorporated journaling into her routine, writing down 3 things she appreciated each evening. Some days, the entries were mundane, the smell of fresh coffee, a sunny walk. Others reflected deeper insights. My friend's laugh reminded me of simpler times. Regardless, the act of acknowledging positivity rewired her perspective, making it easier to spot beauty amid chaos. Conclusion: harnessing the power of your mind. The journey to inner peace begins with understanding the extraordinary potential of your mind. Every thought you entertain shapes your reality, for better or worse. By embracing mindfulness, challenging limiting beliefs, and nurturing the mind-body connection, you take ownership of your mental landscape. As Maya closed her neuroscience book, she smiled. The path ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but she no longer feared the obstacles. Armed with knowledge and determination, she knew she could navigate life's challenges with grace, and perhaps inspire others to do the same. In the next chapter, we'll explore practical tools for staying present in the moment, including exercises designed to quiet the noise and deepen your connection to the here and now. Until then, consider this. What small step will you take today to nurture your peaceful mind? Part 2. Cultivating Inner Peace. Introduction to Part 2. The Art of Letting Go and Embracing Stillness. Once we understand what prevents inner peace, the next step is to actively cultivate it. Inner peace is not something that happens overnight. It requires intention, practice, and patience. Think of it like tending a garden. Just as plants need the right conditions to thrive, so too does a peaceful mind. We must weed out negativity, plant seeds of positive habits, and nurture the right mindset to allow peace to flourish. In this section, we will dive into practical techniques for cultivating a peaceful state of mind. You will learn mindfulness techniques to bring awareness to the present moment, strategies to let go of stress and emotional burdens, the power of emotional balance and resilience, how spirituality and self-reflection can serve as pathways to tranquility. The goal of this section is not to give you rigid rules, but flexible tools, methods you can adapt to your unique life and challenges. You finish, you will have a personal toolkit for inner peace that you can turn to whenever life feels overwhelming. Let's begin the work of creating a more peaceful, centered existence. 4. The power of mindfulness and presence. The quiet revolution. It was a crisp autumn morning, the kind where the air carried a faint chill but promised warmth as the sun climbed higher. Maya stood on her balcony, wrapped in a soft woolen shawl, watching golden leaves drift lazily to the ground below. Her breath formed delicate clouds in the cool air, each exhale a reminder of life's simple rhythms. For once, her mind wasn't racing ahead to the day's tasks or replaying yesterday's regrets. Instead, she felt anchored. Here, now, fully present. This wasn't an accident. Over the past few weeks, Maya had committed herself to practicing mindfulness, learning to inhabit each moment rather than rushing through At first, the idea seemed almost laughable. How could something so intangible, simply paying attention, make such a profound difference? But as she experimented with different techniques, she began noticing subtle shifts, moments that once passed unnoticed now shimmered with clarity. Sounds became richer, textures more vivid. Emotions, less overwhelming. It was as if she'd been living in black and white and suddenly discovered color. In this chapter, we'll explore the transformative power of mindfulness and presence, diving deep into what it means to truly be in he moment. Through practical exercises, real-life examples, and insights from experts, you'll discover how cultivating mindfulness can help you reclaim your peace, even amidst life as chaos. Understanding mindfulness, being fully present in he moment. At its core, mindfulness is about awareness. It's not about achieving some mystical state of enlightenment or escaping reality. It's about showing up for your life as it unfolds, without judgment or resistance. John Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer in bringing mindfulness to Western medicine, defines it as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. But why does this matter? Because our minds are wired to wander. Research shows that people spend nearly half their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. This constant mental multitasking takes a toll, fragmenting our focus and amplifying stress. When we're lost in thought, rehashing the past, or worrying about the future, we miss out on the Rickneys of the present. Take Emma, a single mother juggling 2 jobs, and raising her teenage son. She operated on autopilot, going through the motions of work, meals, and bedtime routines without engaging. One evening, while cooking dinner, she decided to try a mindfulness exercise recommended by a friend. She focused on the sensations, the sound of sizzling onions, the aroma of garlic wafting through the kitchen, the warmth of the wooden spoon in her hand. To her surprise, the mundane act of preparing food transformed into something sacred. It was like I'd never really tasted anything before. Emma later shared, I realized how much beauty there is in the little things when you stop to notice them. Mindfulness isn't just about savoring sensory experiences, though. It's also about observing your thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. Imagine standing on the bank of a river, watching leaves float by. You don't grab at them or try to change their course. You simply observe. That's mindfulness, allowing thoughts to come and go without clinging to them or pushing them away. Simple mindfulness exercises for daily life. You don't need to sit cross-legged for hours or retreat to a mountain top to practice mindfulness. In fact, some of the most effective exercises can be woven seamlessly into your daily routine. Here are 3 powerful yet accessible practices to get you started. 1. The 5 senses check-in ***. Pause whatever you're doing and ask yourself, what do I see, hear, smell, taste, and feel right now? Take a full minute to immerse yourself in these sensations. Whether you're brushing your teeth, waiting in line, or sitting in traffic, this exercise grounds you in the present moment. For example, James began using this technique to combat road rage. Instead of stewing over delays, he'd focus on the hum of the engine, the texture of the steering wheel under his palms, and the changing colors of the sky. By redirecting his attention, he transformed frustration into fascination. 2. Body scan meditation ***. Lie down or sit comfortably, then slowly bring awareness to each part of your body, starting from your toes and moving upward. Notice any areas of tension or discomfort without trying to fix them. Acknowledge their presence. This practice helps release physical stress and fosters a deep connection between mind and body. Sarah incorporated body scans into her bedtime routine after struggling with insomnia. As she mentally traced the outline of her body, she noticed knots in her shoulders and tightness in her jaw. Simply recognizing these patterns allowed her to relax incrementally, paving the way or restful sleep. 3. Breath awareness ***. Your breath is always with you, making it an ideal anchor for mindfulness. Find a quiet spot, close your eyes, and pay attention to the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils. If your mind wanders, and it will, gently guide it back to your breath without self-criticism. Tom found solace in Brie. awareness during high-pressure meetings. Whenever anxiety crept in, he'd take a few discreet inhales and exhales, grounding himself in the rhythm of his breathing. Colleagues remarked on his newfound calm, unaware of the silent storm he was navigating within. Overcoming distractions and mental clutter. Of course, mindfulness isn't easy, not because it's complicated, but because it requires discipline. Our modern world thrives on distraction, bombarding us with notifications, advertisements, and endless streams of information. Even well-meaning habits, like checking email or scrolling social media, pull us away from the present moment. To counteract this, consider implementing intentional, tech-free zones throughout your day. For instance, Maya designated her mornings as screen-free time, resisting the urge to check her phone until after our breakfast. Initially, the silence felt unnerving, but soon she relished the stillness, using the extra minutes to journal or stretch. Another strategy is to label distractions when they arise. If you catch yourself daydreaming during a conversation, silently note, wandering mind. This acknowledgement creates distance between you and the distraction, empowering you to refocus without guilt. Remember, mindfulness isn't about eliminating distractions. It's about noticing them without judgment and returning to the present moment. Each time you do this, you strengthen your ability to stay centered. Dialogue, a lesson in presence. One afternoon, Maya met her friend Rachel for coffee. They hadn't seen each other in months, and Maya looked forward to catching up. But as they settled into their chairs, Rachel immediately launched into a rant about her boss, barely pausing for breath. "I just can't believe how unfair he is," Rachel exclaimed, stabbing her fork into a slice of cake. "And then there's this coworker who keeps undermining me." Maya listened intently, nodding occasionally, but something felt off. Rather than engaging with Rachel's words, she found herself mentally composing a response, or worse, zoning out entirely. Realizing this, she took a deep breath and shifted gears. "Rachel," she said gently, "can I ask you something? How does all of this make you feel?" Rachel paused mid-sentence, startled. "Feel, frustrated, I guess, and maybe a little powerless." "That makes sense," Maya replied. "Thank you for sharing. I'm here with you." The first time that afternoon, Rachel smiled, a genuine, unguarded expression. "Thanks, Maya. Sometimes I forget to slow down and actually process everything." This exchange illuminated a crucial truth. Presence isn't just about being mindful of your own experience. It's also about showing up for others. By giving Rachel her full attention, Maya created space for an authentic connection, a cornerstone of inner peace. Conclusion: embracing the present moment. Mindfulness isn't a quick fix or a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a lifelong practice, a gradual awakening to the beauty and complexity of existence. As Maya reflected on her journey thus far, she recognized that true peace didn't come from escaping life's challenges, but from meeting them head-on, with openness, curiosity, and compassion. In the chapters, we'll delve deeper into specific tools for managing stress, balancing emotions, and nurturing spiritual growth. But for now, take a moment to pause. Feel the weight of your body against the chair, the rise and fall of your chest with each breath. Notice the sounds around you, the hum of distant traffic, the rustle of leaves, the steady beat of your heart. You are alive. You are here. And that is enough. 5. Letting go of stress and worry. The weight of the world. It was late afternoon, and the golden light filtering through Maya's living room window cast long shadows across the floor. She sat cross-legged on her couch, staring at a blank page in her journal. Her pen hovered above the paper, trembling slightly as if unsure where to begin. The day had been heavy. Too many emails, too many expectations, too much noise. Her shoulders felt like they carried the weight of the world. She sighed, leaning back against the cushions. "Why does everything feel so overwhelming?" she whispered to herself, though no answer came. But then a memory surfaced, a snippet from one of her recent mindfulness exercises. "You don't have to carry it all," her instructor had said during a guided meditation. Asterisk, let go of what you can't control. Asterisk, letting go. It sounded simple enough, but how could she possibly release the burdens that seemed so deeply embedded in her life? Stress wasn't just an abstract concept. It lived in her clenched jaw, her restless nights, her racing thoughts. And worry? That was its relentless companion, whispering worst-case scenarios into her ear whenever she dared to hope for something better. In this chapter, we'll explore the art of letting go, not as an act of surrender, but as a conscious choice to reclaim your peace. Through practical techniques, relatable stories, and insights rooted in psychology and neuroscience, you'll learn how to identify sources of stress, shift your perspective, and release the grip of worry. By the end, you'll understand that while challenges are inevitable, suffering is optional, and freedom lies within your grasp. Identifying sources of stress and learning to release them. Before you can let go, you must first recognize what's weighing you down. Stress often masquerades as busyness, responsibility, or even ambition. We tell ourselves that pushing harder will eventually lead to relief, but more often than not, it only deepens the cycle of exhaustion. Take Sarah, a marketing executive whose calendar overflowed with meetings, deadlines, and networking events. On paper, her life looked enviable. A thriving career, a supportive partner, a cozy apartment. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. She snapped at colleagues over minor mistakes, forgot important dates, and struggled to enjoy even the simplest pleasures. One evening, after another sleepless night spent staring at the ceiling, Sarah decided to confront her stress head-on. She grabbed a notebook and wrote down every obligation, expectation, and fear swirling in her mind. Some items were external, work projects, family commitments. But others were internalized beliefs. Asterisk, I need to prove myself. I can't afford to fail. Everyone else has it together. Asterisk. As she reviewed the list, a realization dawned. Not everything on it was hers to carry. Many tasks could be delegated, renegotiated, or postponed. Others stemmed from unrealistic standards she'd imposed on herself. For the first time, she saw her stress not as an immutable force, but as a collection of choices, some necessary, others optional. To help readers identify their own stressors, consider these reflective prompts. What responsibilities am I holding onto out of guilt or obligation? Which fears or assumptions fuel my anxiety? Are there areas of my life where I'm trying to control outcomes beyond my influence? Once you've named your stressors, the next step is releasing them. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals or neglecting your duties. It means prioritizing wisely and relinquishing perfectionism. Sometimes simply acknowledging, this is hard, and I'm doing my best, can lighten the load. Techniques for shifting perspective and reframing thoughts. Stress thrives on distortion. It magnifies problems, minimizes resources, and convinces us that catastrophe looms around every corner. To counteract this, we must retrain our minds to see situations more clearly. Cognitive reframing is a powerful tool for shifting perspective. Imagine James, a freelance writer who constantly worried about rejection. Every pitch he sent felt like tossing a message in a bottle into an endless ocean, hoping someone would find it. When editors declined his work, he interpreted it as proof of inadequacy. But one day, during a coaching session, his therapist challenged him to reframe those rejections. "What if they're not saying no to you?" she asked. "What if they're saying yes to someone else whose style fits their needs right now?" At first, James resisted the idea. How could rejection not reflect poorly on him? Yet, over time, he began experimenting with different interpretations. Instead of thinking, "They hate my writing," he told himself, "This isn't the right fit, but there's an audience out there for me." Slowly, the sting of rejection softened, replaced by curiosity and determination. Here are 3 reframing strategies to try. 1. Challenge catastrophic thinking. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Is it really as dire as I imagine? Often, the imagined disaster never materializes. 2. Find opportunity in adversity. Look for lessons or silver linings in difficult situations. For example, losing a job might open doors to new opportunities or self-discovery. 3. Practice gratitude amid challenges. Even in tough times, there's usually something to appreciate: a kind word, a warm meal, a moment of laughter. Journaling and self-reflection practices. Writing has a unique way of untangling thoughts and emotions, transforming chaos into clarity. Journaling isn't just about recording events. It's about processing experiences, uncovering patterns, and gaining insight. Maya discovered this firsthand when she committed to nightly journaling. Each evening, she answered 3 questions. 1. What am I grateful for today? 2. What stressed or worried me? 3. What did I learn about myself? Over weeks, themes emerged. She noticed recurring triggers, emails from her boss, arguments with her sister, and began addressing them proactively. She also identified moments of joy she'd overlooked in the rush of daily life: the warmth of sunlight on her face, a stranger's smile, the satisfaction of completing a task. For readers eager to start journaling, here are some tips. Write freely without editing yourself. Your journal is a safe space for raw honesty. Use prompts to guide reflection, such as "When did I feel most alive today?" or "What limiting belief held me back?" Experiment with formats, lists, drawings, stream of consciousness entries, to keep the practice engaging. Dialogue, a moment of clarity. Later that week, Maya met her friend Emma for tea. They sat in a quiet cafe, surrounded by the comforting aroma of chai and freshly baked scones. As they chatted, Emma confessed she'd been feeling overwhelmed lately. "I just don't know how to stop worrying," Emma admitted, stirring her drink absent-mindedly. "Every little thing feels like it's going to spiral out of control." Maya nodded sympathetically. "I get that. I used to feel the same way. But recently, I've been working on letting go, not ignoring problems, but accepting that I can't fix everything." Emma raised an eyebrow. "How do you do that? Doesn't it make you feel powerless?" "Actually, it's the opposite," Maya replied. "Letting go gives me power. It reminds me that I'm not responsible for every outcome. Sometimes things work out despite my fears, or maybe because I stopped obsessing over them." Emma fell silent, considering this. After a pause, she smiled faintly. "Maybe I'll give it a shot. Start small, right?" "Exactly," Maya said. "Just pick one thing, something small, and see what happens." Conclusion: freedom through surrender. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way. It's recognizing that stress and worry are natural responses to uncertainty, but they don't have to define your experience. By identifying your stressors, reframing negative thoughts, and embracing practices like journaling, you take back control, not of the world, but of your reaction to it. As Maya closed her journal that evening, she felt a flicker of hope. The road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but she knew she had the tools to navigate it. One breath, one thought, one decision at a time, she was learning to release what she couldn't change and embrace what she could. In the next chapter, we'll delve deeper into emotional balance, exploring how to manage feelings without suppressing them and cultivate resilience in the face of adversity. Until then, ask yourself, what can I let go of today? This chapter blends personal anecdotes, actionable advice, and psychological insights to create a compelling narrative that advances the book's overarching theme of inner peace. Its pacing ensures engagement, while setting the stage for future discussions on emotional regulation and spiritual growth. 6. The art of emotional balance. The pendulum of emotions. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the sky hung low and gray, casting everything in muted tones. Maya sat by her window, watching droplets race each other down the glass pane. Her mood mirrored the weather, unsettled, unpredictable, shifting between frustration and resignation. Earlier that day, she'd snapped at a coworker over a minor misunderstanding, then spent hours replaying the exchange in her mind, cringing at her sharp words. Later, during a phone call with her mother, she found herself fighting back tears, overwhelmed by a wave of guilt and exhaustion. Emotions are like waves. They rise, crash, and recede, but when left unchecked, they can pull us under. Maya had always prided herself on being strong, which to her meant suppressing anything uncomfortable. Yet, as she reflected on her recent outbursts, she realized strength wasn't about stifling feelings. It was about navigating them skillfully. Emotional balance wasn't just a lofty ideal. It was a necessity for inner peace. In this chapter, we'll explore how to manage emotions without denying or suppressing them. Through practical strategies, relatable stories, and insights from psychology, you'll learn to develop emotional resilience and cultivate self-compassion. By the end, you'll understand that emotions aren't enemies to conquer but allies to embrace, and that true harmony comes from honoring both light and shadow within yourself. Managing emotions without suppressing them. For years, society has taught us to categorize emotions into good and bad. Joy is celebrated, while anger, sadness, and fear are often dismissed as weaknesses. But emotions, even the difficult ones, serve a purpose. They're signals, messages from your subconscious alerting you to unmet needs, unresolved conflicts, or potential threats. Consider Tom, a software engineer who prided himself on his logical approach to life. When his team missed a critical deadline, he felt a surge of anger, not just toward his colleagues, but toward himself. Instead of addressing it, he buried the emotion, telling himself, "I don't have time for this. I need to focus." But ignoring anger didn't make it disappear. It simmered beneath the surface, manifesting as irritability, insomnia, and strained relationships. Finally, after weeks of tension, Tom decided to confront the feeling head-on. He asked himself, what triggered this anger? What need isn't being met? How can I express this constructively? Through journaling and reflection, he uncovered layers of frustration. Not only about the missed deadline, but also about feeling undervalued and unheard. Armed with clarity, he approached his manager with a calm yet candid conversation. The result, a renewed sense of collaboration and mutual respect. To manage emotions effectively, try these steps. 1. Acknowledge your feelings *. Name what you're experiencing: anger, sadness, anxiety, without judgment. Simply saying, "I feel frustrated," validates the emotion and reduces its intensity. 2. Explore the root cause asterisk. Ask yourself why you're feeling this way. Is it tied to an unmet expectation, a past wound, a perceived injustice? 3. Choose your response asterisk. Decide how best to address the emotion. Sometimes, expressing it openly is necessary. Other times, channeling it into creativity or physical activity works better. Remember, managing emotions doesn't mean eliminating discomfort. It means responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Developing emotional resilience. Resilience isn't about bouncing back quickly. It's about adapting gracefully to life's inevitable storms. Like muscles, emotional resilience grows stronger with practice. One key component is reframing adversity as opportunity. While challenges may feel insurmountable in the moment, they often carry hidden gifts. Lessons learned, strengths discovered, connections deepened. Take Sarah, a single mother raising 2 young children while working full-time. For years, she viewed her circumstances as burdensome, a series of obstacles to overcome. Then, during a particularly rough week, she stumbled upon a quote, asterisk, "You don't grow when you're comfortable." Asterisk, something clicked. She began seeing her struggles not as failures but as stepping stones toward growth. She started small, celebrating tiny victories, getting everyone out the door on time, finishing a project ahead of schedule, carving out 5 minutes for herself each even. Over time, these moments added up, fostering a sense of competence and confidence. Even on tough days, she reminded herself, "This too shall pass." Building emotional resilience involves cultivating habits that support well-being. Practice gratitude asterisk, regularly acknowledge what's going well, no matter how small. Seek support asterisk, lean on trusted friends, family, or professionals and needed. Prioritize rest asterisk, recognize that rest isn't laziness. It's essential for recovery. Practicing self-compassion and forgiveness. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of emotional balance is learning to treat yourself with kindness. Many of us extend compassion to others, but harshly criticize ourselves or mistakes. This double standard erodes self-esteem and perpetuates cycles of shame and guilt. Maya experienced this firsthand after her earlier outburst at work. Initially, she berated herself. Asterisk, why did I lose my temper? I should know better. Asterisk, but later, as she journaled about the incident, she nodded at a pattern. Her reaction stemmed not from the coworker's comment, but from underlying stress and fatigue. Understanding this context allowed her to soften her self-talk. Self-compassion involves 3 core elements, according to researcher are Kristen Neff. 1. Mindfulness asterisk, acknowledge your pain without exaggerating or minimizing it. 2. Common humanity asterisk, remind yourself that suffering is part of the shared human experience. You're not alone. 3. Kindness asterisk, offer yourself the same care and understanding why. You'd give a friend. Forgiveness plays a crucial role too, not just forgiving others, but releasing resentment toward yourself. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with grudges and regrets. Each item represents a hurt you haven't let go of. Forgiveness is setting down the pack, freeing yourself to move forward unencumbered. Dialogue, a lesson in compassion. One evening, Maya met her friend James for dinner. They sipped wine and shared plates of pasta. His voice wavered as he described the heartache of ending a long-term relationship. I keep thinking about all the things I could have done differently, he admitted. If only I'd been more patient, more attentive. Maya listened intently, resisting the urge to offer solutions. Instead, she placed a hand on his arm and said softly, "It sounds like you're blaming yourself for something that was probably much more complicated than that." James nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "Yeah, but it's hard not to. I feel like I failed." "You didn't fail," Maya replied firmly. "Relationships are messy, and sometimes they end despite our best efforts. Beating yourself up won't change what happened, but being gentle with yourself I help you heal." Her words struck a chord. The first time in weeks, James allowed himself to cry, not out of despair, but out of release. In that moment, he realized forgiveness wasn't weakness, but liberation. Conclusion: Han. Owning the full spectrum. Emotional balance isn't about achieving perpetual happiness or avoiding pain. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows, and finding meaning. By managing emotions, skillfully developing resilience, and practicing self-compassion, you create space for authentic connection. Why? Yourself and others. As Maya closed her journal that night, she felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She hadn't solved all her problems, Bonnie, shed every negative emotion, but she'd taken a step toward greater awareness and acceptance. And that, he realized, was progress. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of spirituality in cultivating inner peace, examining how practices like meditation, prayer, and gratitude can deepen your of purpose and connection. Until then, ask yourself, where can I bring more calm, passion into my life today? This chapter integrates personal anecdotes, actionable advice, and psychological research to provide readers with practical tools for emotional regulation. Its pacing ensures engagement while maintaining continuity with previous chapters and setting the stage for future discussions on spirituality and daily practices. 7. The role of spirituality in inner peace. A glimpse beyond the horizon. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, casting a serene glow over Maya's small garden. She sat on a weathered wooden bench, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea. The air was crisp, carrying with it the faint scent of jasmine blooming nearby. As she gazed upward, watching birds glide effortlessly across the vast expanse of sky, a question arose within her, one that had lingered quietly in the background for years, but now demanded attention. What lies beyond this moment? What connects us to nothing greater than ourselves? For much of her life, Maya had dismissed spirituality as abstract or inaccessible, reserved for those who spent hours meditating in rams or praying in grand cathedrals. Yet, as she journeyed deeper into her quest for inner peace, she began to sense its presence, not as an external force, but as an intrinsic part of her being. It wasn't about religion or dogma. It was about connection. Connection to herself, to others, to nature, and perhaps to something ineffable yet profoundly real. In this chapter, we'll explore the transformative power of spirituality as a pathway to inner peace. Through personal stories, ancient wisdom, and modern insights, you'll discover how practices like meditation, prayer, gratitude, and meaning-making can anchor you in a sense of purpose and belonging. By the end, you'll understand that spirituality isn't a destination. It's a way of seeing and being in the world. Exploring different spiritual paths to peace. Spirituality is as diverse as humanity itself, taking countless forms depending on culture, tradition, and individual experience. For some, it manifests through organized religion, attending church services, observing rituals, or studying sacred texts. For others, It emerges in quieter, more personal ways, walking barefoot in the forest, journaling under moonlight, or simply sitting in silence. Take James, a former skeptic turned spiritual seeker. Growing up, he associated spirituality with rigid doctrines and guilt-inducing sermons, leaving him disillusioned. But after losing his job unexpectedly, he found solace in meditation retreats, sitting in stillness for days at a time. He experienced moments of profound clarity, a sense of unity with all things, a feeling that transcended words. It wasn't about believing in something, James later explained. It was about feeling connected, like I wasn't alone anymore. Similarly, Emma discovered her own path through gratitude. Every evening before bed, she wrote down 3 things she appreciated about her day, no matter how small: a kind word from a stranger, the taste of ripe strawberries, the sound of rain tapping against her window. Over time, these reflections shifted her perspective, helping her see beauty even in challenging circumstances. Whether through meditation, prayer, mindfulness, or creative expression, spirituality invites us to step outside the confines of ego and connect with something larger than ourselves. Research supports this idea, showing that spiritual practices reduce stress, enhance well-being, and foster resilience. A study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that individuals who engaged in regular gratitude exercises reported higher levels of happiness and lower rates of depression. The benefits of connecting with something greater than yourself. At its core, spirituality addresses one of humanity's deepest yearnings, the desire for meaning. A world often dominated by material pursuits and superficial distractions, it reminds us that there's more to life than accumulating wealth or chasing validation. When we align with a higher purpose, whether serving others, protecting the planet, or nurturing our creativity, we tap into a source of enduring fulfillment. Consider Sarah, a teacher who struggled with burnout after years of working in underserved communities. Despite her passion for education, she felt drained, questioning whether her efforts made any difference. Then, during a sabbatical, she volunteered at a rural school in India. Surrounded by children eager to learn despite immense hardship, she rediscovered her why. Teaching wasn't just a job. It was her calling, a way to contribute to something greater than herself. This sense of purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. It can be as simple as tending to your family, caring for animals, or planting trees. What matters is the intention behind your actions, the recognition that every act of kindness ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully comprehend. To cultivate this connection, consider these practices. Meditation *, spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breath or repeating a mantra. Allow thoughts to come and go without attachment. Prayer *, whether directed toward a deity, the universe, or simply your highest self, prayer fosters humility and trust. Nature immersion *, spend time outdoors, observing the intricate web of life around you. Feel the interconnectedness of all beings. Acts of service *, look for opportunities to give back, whether volunteering, mentoring, or simply offering a listening ear. Finding meaning and purpose as a foundation for peace. Meaning and purpose are not static. They evolve alongside us, shaped by experiences, relationships, and growth. To find them, we must first ask ourselves difficult questions. What brings me joy? What values guide my decisions? How do I want to impact the world? Maya grappled with these questions during a solo retreat in the mountains. Each morning, she rose before sunrise, hiking to a secluded overlook where she could watch the horizon awaken. One day, as she scribbled notes in her journal, a realization struck her. Her truest moments of peace came not when she achieved success or received praise, but when she created space for authenticity, to listen deeply, to love fully, to live courageously. She returned home with renewed clarity, committing to infuse her daily life with intention. Instead of rushing through tasks, she savored each step of the process. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, she approached them with curiosity and compassion. Slowly, she noticed a shift not only in her external circumstances but in her internal landscape. Life felt richer, more vibrant, more aligned. Dialogue, a shared awakening. Later that week, Maya invited her friend Rachel over for tea. They sat in her cozy living room, surrounded by shelves lined with books and plants basking in sunlight. After catching up on mundane details, Rachel hesitated, then confessed, "I've been feeling lost lately, like I'm going through the motions but not really living." Maya nodded, recognizing the sentiment. "I get that. I used to feel the same way. But recently, I've been exploring what gives my life meaning, not what society expects of me, but what feels true to me." Rachel leaned forward, intrigued. "And what did you find?" "For me," Maya replied, "it's about connection. Connecting with myself, with others, with the earth. When I focus on that, everything else falls into place." Rachel pondered this, her brow furrowed. "Connection. Huh? That sounds nice. But how do you actually do it?" "It starts with small steps," Maya said. "Maybe it's spending 5 minutes in silence each day, or writing down what you're grateful for, or helping someone in need. Over time, those little acts add up. You start to see yourself and the world differently." Rachel smiled, faintly, as if glimpsing a distant shore. "Maybe I'll give it a try." Conclusion: a journey toward wholeness. Spirituality isn't about escaping reality. It's about embracing it fully, with all its messiness, wonder, and mystery. By connecting with something greater than ourselves, we transcend isolation and find peace in belonging. Whether through meditation, prayer, service, or simply marveling at the stars, we remind ourselves that we are part of a vast, intricate tapestry. As Maya closed her journal that evening, she felt a deep sense of gratitude, not for perfection, but for progress. She hadn't unraveled every knot of fear or doubt, nor uncovered all the answers. But she'd taken another step, guided by faith, curiosity, and love. In the next chapter, explore how creating a peaceful environment, from decluttering your home to establishing calming rituals, can further support your journey toward lasting harmony. Until then, ask yourself, what connects me to something greater today? Part 3. Living a Peaceful Life. Introduction to Part 3. Sustaining Inner Peace in Everyday Life. Inner peace is not something we experience once and then forget. It is a lifelong practice, a way of living rather than a fleeting state of mind. Once you have cultivated a peaceful mind, the next challenge is learning how to protect and sustain it in the real world, where distractions, toxic influences, and daily stresses constantly threaten to pull you back into chaos. In this section, you will discover how to integrate peace into your daily life through creating a peaceful physical environment that supports mental clarity, setting boundaries, and protecting your energy from negative, developing daily habits and routines that reinforce inner harmony. Living a peaceful life does not mean isolating yourself or avoiding responsibility. It means learning how to navigate the world with a sense of inner stillness, regardless of what is happening around you. By the time you reach the end of this book, you will understand the principles of inner peace and have the tools to make it a natural part of your daily existence. Let's begin the journey of living with true inner harmony. 8. Creating a peaceful environment. The sanctuary within. It was a chilly autumn morning, the kind where frost clings to window panes and sunlight filters. Through thin clouds like gauze. Maya stood in her living room, surveying the space around her. The room was functional but cluttered, stacks of unread books on the coffee table, mismatched throw pillows scattered across the couch, and a tangled web of charging cables snaking across the floor. It wasn't chaotic enough to cause panic, but it carried an undercurrent of unease, as though the physical disorder mirrored the mental clutter she'd been working so hard to untangle. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. If my mind is supposed to be a reflection of my surroundings, she murmured to herself, then this place needs some serious work. Creating a peaceful environment isn't just about aesthetics. It's about designing spaces that nurture your well-being and support your journey toward inner harmony. Just as mindfulness helps you cultivate presence within yourself, intentional design can transform your external world into a sanctuary for calm. In this chapter, we'll explore how your physical space impacts your mental state, practical steps for decluttering and simplifying, and rituals to infuse your home with tranquility. By the end, you'll understand that peace begins not only in the heart but also in the home. The impact of physical space on mental well-being. Our environments shape us more than we realize. Research shows that clutter increases cortisol levels, triggering stress and anxiety, while organized spaces promote focus, relaxation, and creativity. Think about how you feel walking into a tidy room versus one overrun with piles of laundry or paperwork. The former invites calm, the latter feels suffocating. Take Emma, a graphic designer who worked from home. Her desk was perpetually buried under layers of sketches, sticky notes, and empty coffee cups. Every time she sat down to create, she felt overwhelmed before opening her laptop. One weekend, inspired by a podcast on minimalism, she decided to tackle the mess. She sorted papers into folders, donated unused supplies, and rearranged furniture to look in more natural light. When she returned to her desk the following Monday, something remarkable happened. Ideas flowed effortlessly and distractions faded away. This transformation isn't magic, it's science. A study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people with cluttered homes reported higher levels of procrastination and lower life satisfaction compared to those with organized spaces. Clearing clutter reduces visual noise, allowing your brain to rest and recharge. But creating a peaceful environment goes beyond tidying up. It's about curating a space that reflects your values and supports your goals. For instance, natural light exposure to daylight boosts serotonin production and improving mood and energy. Plants houseplants improve air quality and reduce stress, according to research from NASA. Color psychology soft blues and greens evoke calmness, while warm neutrals foster coziness. Decluttering and simplifying your home. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of stuff. It's about reclaiming control over your life. Each item you own carries an energetic weight, whether consciously or subconsciously. Letting go of what no longer serves you creates space, not just physically but emotionally, for what truly matters. Maya started small, tackling one corner of her apartment at a time. First, she emptied her bedside table drawer, sorting items into 3 categories: keep, donate, discard. As she sifted through old receipts, broken earbuds, and forgotten trinkets, memories surfaced, some joyful, others painful. She paused, holding a faded concert ticket stub, and smiled wistfully. Then, gently, she laced it in the donation pile. "It's okay to let go," she whispered, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. Next, she turned her attention to her closet. Clothes she hadn't worn in years stared back at her, relics of past versions of herself. With each piece she removed, she felt lighter, as if shedding layers of identity that no longer fit. By the time she finished her once crowded ward, Obey felt spacious and intentional, to guide readers through their own decluttering. In journeys, consider these strategies. 1. Start small asterisk focus on one area or category at a time to avoid feeling overwhelmed. 2. Ask key questions asterisk. Does this bring me joy? Do I use it regularly? Would someone else benefit from it more? 3. Set boundaries asterisk. Limit possessions to what fits comfortably in designated spa. CES, e.g., one bookshelf, one drawer. Remember, decluttering isn't about achieving perfection. It's about progress. Even small changes can yield significant results, creating rituals for a calm and peaceful atmosphere. Once you've simplified your space, the next step is infusing it with rituals that promote calm. Rituals are powerful because they anchor us in the present moment, providing structure and meaning to our days. They don't have to be a labor. 8. Sometimes, the simplest acts carry the most impact. For example, James began lighting a candle every evening after dinner. He chose scents like lavender and sandalwood, known for their calming property, and placed the candle on his dining table. As he watched the flame flicker, he took slow, deliberate breaths, releasing the tension of the day. Over time, this ritual became sacred, a signal to his mind and body that it was time to unwind. Other rituals to try include morning stretching asterisk. Begin your day with gentle movements to awaken your body and clear your mind. Evening tea time asterisk. Brew a cup of herbal tea and save, or it slowly, reflecting on the day's highlights. Weekly reflection asterisk. Set aside time each week to journal, meditate, or simply it quietly, setting intentions for the days ahead. Maya adopted several rituals of her own. On weekends, she played soft instrumental music while cleaning, turning chores into moments of mindfulness. Before bed, she sprayed lavender linen spray on her pillow and practiced a brief gratitude meditation, focusing on 3 things she appreciated about her day. These small habits transformed her apartment into a haven, one that nurtured both her spirit and her senses. Dialogue, a shared revelation. One afternoon, Maya invited her friend Sarah over for coffee. As Sarah stepped inside, she paused, taking in the freshly painted walls, neatly arranged shelves, and vase of wildflowers on the kitchen counter. "Wow," Sarah said, setting her bag down. "This place looks amazing. Did you hire a designer?" Maya laughed, shaking her head. "Nope, just me and a lot of elbow grease. I've been working on making it more peaceful." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Peaceful? Like feng shui or something?" "Sort of," Maya replied, pouring them each a cup of coffee. "But mostly, it's about creating a space that makes me feel good. Decluttering, adding plants, setting up little rituals. It all adds up." Sarah nodded thoughtfully, glancing around the room. "I never thought about it like that. My place is such a disaster zone. Maybe I should give it a shot." "You'd be surprised how much it helps," Maya said. "Start small. Pick one thing to change and see how it feels." As they sipped their coffee, Sarah seemed lost in thought, perhaps imagining her own version of a peaceful home. Maya smiled, knowing firsthand the ripple effect such changes could have, not just on spaces, but on lives. Conclusion: building your inner sanctuary. Your environment is more than 4 walls and a roof. It's an extension of yourself. When designed with intention, it becomes a refuge, a place where you can retreat, recharge, and reconnect with your truest self. By decluttering, simplifying, and incorporating calming rituals, you lay the foundation for lasting peace. As Maya settled onto her newly cleared couch that evening, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Her apartment wasn't perfect. It still bore traces of imperfection, but it felt alive, vibrant, and deeply hers. And in that moment, she realized peace isn't somewhere you arrive. It's something you build, brick by brick, breath by breath. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the importance of setting boundaries and protecting your energy, exploring how to recognize toxic influences and surround yourself with positivity. Until then, ask yourself, what change can I make today to create a calmer, more nurturing space? 9. Setting boundaries and protecting your energy. The invisible fence. It was a crisp Thursday evening, the kind where the air carried a faint chill but promised warmth indoors. Maya sat cross-legged on her newly decluttered living room floor, surrounded by soft lamplight and the faint scent of lavender from her diffuser. She held her phone in one hand, scrolling through messages that had piled up throughout the day. Each notification felt like a tug at her sleeve, a coworker asking for last-minute revisions, a friend venting about relationship troubles, an acquaintance inviting her to yet another social event she didn't have the energy for. She sighed, setting the phone aside. Her mind buzzed with conflicting thoughts. On one hand, she wanted to be helpful, supportive, available. On the other, she couldn't ignore the growing sense of depletion, as though pieces of herself were being chipped away with every demand placed upon her. Boundaries, she'd read about them, heard others talk about them, even nodded along in agreement, but putting them into practice, that was a different story altogether. Yet, as she reflected on her journey toward inner peace, she realized that protecting her energy wasn't optional. It was essential. Without boundaries, all the mindfulness, emotional balance, and peaceful environments in the world wouldn't shield her from burnout or resentment. In this chapter, we'll explore the art of setting boundaries, not as a rejection of others, but as an act of self-respect and preservation. Through personal stories, actionable strategies, and insights from psychology, you'll learn how to recognize toxic influences, say no without guilt, and surround yourself with positivity. By the end, you'll understand that your energy is finite, precious, and worth safeguarding. Recognizing and removing toxic influences. Toxic relationships are like weeds in a garden. They may start small and seemingly harmless, but left unchecked, they choke out everything else, leaving little room for growth or beauty. These relationships aren't always overtly abusive. Sometimes they manifest subtly through constant criticism, manipulation, or emotional drain. Take Sarah, a freelance writer who prided herself on being a people pleaser. For years, she tolerated a friendship with Rachel, a woman whose negativity seemed endless. Whether it was complaining about work, criticizing mutual friends, or monopolizing conversations with her own problems. Rachel left Sarah feeling drained after every interaction. Yet, despite her exhaustion, Sarah struggled to distance herself, fearing she'd appear selfish or unkind. One day, during a particularly grueling coffee meetup, Sarah reached her breaking point. As Rachel launched into yet another tirade, Sarah noticed something new, a tightness in her chest, a heaviness in her limbs, a dull ache behind her eyes. It wasn't just annoyance, it was her body signaling distress. Afterward, Sarah confided in Maya, who listened intently before offering gentle advice. Sometimes, love means letting go, she said. You can care about someone without sacrificing your well-being. Encouraged by these words, Sarah began setting limits. She stopped answering texts late at night, shortened their meetups, and redirected conversations when they turned negative. Over time, Rachel drifted out of her life, not because Sarah pushed her away aggressively, but because she stopped enabling the toxicity. To identify toxic influences in your own life, ask yourself, do I feel lighter or heavier after spending time with this person? Does this relationship inspire growth or stagnation? Am I giving more than I'm receiving? If the answers lean toward negativity, it may be time to reassess and possibly release the connection. The importance of saying no without guilt. Saying no is perhaps the most powerful boundary you can set, yet it's often the hardest. Many of us fear rejection, conflict, or appearing unhelpful, so we overcommit, stretching ourselves thin in the process. But saying yes to everyone else often means saying no to yourself. James knew this struggle intimately. A project manager at a bustling tech startup, he prided himself on his willingness to take on extra tasks. When colleagues needed help, he obliged. When clients requested last-minute changes, he complied. At first, his efforts earned praise, but soon, the accolades gave way to exhaustion. He found himself snapping at loved ones neglecting hobbies and losing sleep over unfinished work. During a therapy session, his counselor challenged him to reframe his perspective. Saying no isn't selfish, she explained. It's honest. You're acknowledging your limits, which allows you to show up fully for the things that truly matter. Inspired, James began experimenting with polite refusals. Instead of immediately agreeing to requests, he paused, considered his capacity, and responded thoughtfully. I'd love to help, but my plate is full right now, he'd say, or let me check my schedule and get back to you. To his surprise, most people respected his honesty, and those who didn't, their reactions revealed deeper issues in the relationship. Here are some tips for saying no gracefully. 1. Be clear and direct, avoid vague promises or excuses. State your position firmly, but kindly. 2. Offer alternatives. When possible, if you can't fulfill a request, suggest another solution or timeline. 3. Practice self-compassion, remind yourself that prioritizing your needs isn't selfish, it's necessary. Surrounding yourself with positivity and supportive relationships. Just as toxic influences sap your energy, positive relationships replenish it. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift, inspire, and genuinely care for you creates a buffer against life's inevitable challenges. These connections don't have to be numerous. In fact, quality matters far more than quantity. Emma discovered this truth after moving to a new city for work. Initially, she tried to recreate her old social circle, attending networking events and joining clubs in hopes of meeting the right crowd. But the superficial interactions left her feeling lonelier than ever. Then, during a yoga class, she struck up a conversation with Mia, a fellow participant. They bonded over shared interests in wellness and creativity, quickly becoming close friends. What made their relationship special wasn't grand gestures or constant contact. It was authenticity. Mia celebrated Emma's successes, offered comfort during setbacks, and encouraged her to pursue passions she'd long neglected. In return, Emma did the same, creating a reciprocal flow of support and joy. To cultivate supportive relationships, consider these practices. Seek shared values, look for people whose priorities align with yours, whether it's kindness, ambition, or spirituality. Invest time wisely, focus on nurturing a few meaningful connections rather than spreading yourself thin across many acquaintances. Communicate openly, share your feelings, needs, and boundaries honestly, fostering trust and mutual understanding. Dialogue, a lesson in boundaries. Later that week, Maya met her friend Tom for lunch. They sat in a cozy cafe, sunlight streaming through the windows as they sipped steaming cups of chai. After catching up on surface-level updates, Tom hesitated, then admitted, I've been feeling stretched thin lately, like everyone expects something from me, and I don't know how to say no. Maya nodded sympathetically. That sounds exhausting. Have you thought about setting boundaries? Tom frowned. Boundaries sound harsh. Won't people think I'm rude? Not if you frame it right, Maya replied. It's not about shutting people out. It's about protecting your energy so you can show up better for the people and things that matter. Tom mulled this over, stirring his tea absently. How do you start? Small steps, Maya suggested. Next time someone asks for something unreasonable, try saying, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. Or offer alternatives if you feel comfortable. The key is consistency. You're teaching others how to treat you. Tom smiled faintly, as if glimpsing a path forward. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Conclusion: guarding your inner sanctuary. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls. It's about creating space for what nourishes you. By recognizing toxic influences, learning to say no without guilt, and surrounding yourself with positivity, you reclaim ownership of your energy and time. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting help when needed. It means honoring your limits and valuing your well-being. As Maya closed her journal that evening, she felt a deep sense of clarity. Her apartment was peaceful, her routines calming, but none of it mattered unless she guarded her inner sanctuary. Peace, she realized, wasn't just about external conditions. It was about cultivating resilience within. In the next chapter, we'll explore daily practices for maintaining lasting inner peace, from morning rituals to gratitude exercises that anchor you in calm. Until then, ask yourself, where can I set healthier boundaries today? 10. Daily practices for lasting inner peace. The rhythm of peace. The first rays of sunlight filtered through Maya's bedroom window, painting the walls in soft hues of gold and amber. She stretched lazily beneath her cozy blanket, savoring the quiet stillness before the day began. This moment, this sacred pause between sleep and wakefulness, had become one of her favorite rituals. It wasn't just about resting, it was about setting the tone for everything that followed. Over the past months, Maya had transformed not only her environment, but also her habits, weaving mindfulness, gratitude, and self-care into the fabric of her daily life. What started as small experiments, 5 minutes of meditation here, a handwritten note of thanks there, had blossomed into a tapestry of practices that sustained her inner peace. These weren't grand gestures or fleeting trends. They were deliberate choices, repeated consistently, that anchored her in calm even amidst chaos. In this chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate lasting inner peace through morning and evening routines, the transformative power of gratitude and affirmations, and strategies for developing long-term habits. By the end, you'll understand that peace isn't something you find. It's something you create day by day, action by action. Morning and evening routines for a peaceful mindset. Routines are more than schedules. They're rituals that shape your mindset and energy. A well-crafted morning routine primes you for the day ahead, while an intentional evening wind-down helps you release tension and prepare for restorative sleep. Maya's mornings now unfolded with purpose. After waking naturally, without the jarring buzz of an alarm, she began each day with a series of grounding practices. 1. Gratitude reflection *. Before rising, she mentally listed 3 things she was grateful for, a habit inspired by research showing that gratitude rewires the brain for positivity. 2. Mindful movement *. Whether it was yoga stretches or a brisk walk around the block, physical activity awakened her body and cleared her mind. 3. Affirmation practice *. Standing in front of her mirror, she recited affirmations tailored to her goals and values. I am capable. I am enough. Today is full of possibility. Evenings, 2. Carried their own rhythm. As dusk settled over the city, Maya transitioned from productivity to relaxation. 1. Digital detox *an hour before bed. She silenced her phone and avoided screens, allowing her mind to unplug from the digital noise. 2. Journaling * with pen in hand. She wrote freely about her day, acknowledging challenges, celebrating wins, and processing emotions. 3. Breath work * lying in bed. She practiced deep breathing exercises, inhaling slowly through her nose and exhaling fully through her mouth. Studies show that controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation. These routines weren't rigid prescriptions. They evolved based on her needs and circumstances. Some days, she skipped journaling in favor of reading poetry. Other nights, she swapped breath work for guided meditations. Flexibility was key. The goal wasn't perfection, but consistency. To design your own routines, consider these principles. Start small * incorporate 1 or 2 practices at a time to avoid overwhelm. Align with your goals * choose activities that energize, inspire, or soothe. Be consistent * repetition builds neural pathways, making new habits feel natural over time. The importance of gratitude and affirmity. Gratitude and affirmations may seem simple, even trivial, but their impact is profound. Both practices shift your focus from lack to abundance, from fear to empowerment, creating a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Take Emma, a teacher who struggled with burnout after years of working in underserved schools. Every evening, she journaled 3 things she appreciated about her students, no matter how challenging the day had been. At first, the exercise felt forced. At least Johnny didn't throw his pencil today, but gradually her entries grew richer. Maria smiled when I complimented her drawing. Carlos stayed late to help clean up. Over time, these reflections softened her perspective, reminding her why she chose teaching in the first place. Affirmations work similarly, reinforcing positive beliefs and counteracting self-doubt. James, a graphic designer prone to imposter syndrome, taped affirmations to his desk. My creativity inspires others. I trust my instincts. Whenever anxiety crept in, he glanced at them, using the words as anchors during turbulent moments. Research supports these practices. A study published in Applied Psychology, Health and Well-Being found that participants who kept gratitude journals reported better sleep, reduced inflammation, and improved heart health. Meanwhile, neuroscientists have shown that repeating affirmations strengthens connections in the brain's reward centers, boosting confidence and resilience. To integrate gratitude and affirmations into your life, try these techniques. Gratitude jar * write down moments of joy or appreciation on slips of paper and store them in a jar. On tough days, revisit these reminders of goodness. Mirror work * speak affirmations aloud while looking at yourself in the mirror. The combination of auditory and visual reinforcement amplifies their impact. Daily check-ins * pause midday to ask, what am I grateful for right now? Shift your attention to what's going well instead of dwelling on stressors. Developing long-term habits for a peaceful life. Building habits takes time and patience. Too often, we expect immediate results, abandoning efforts when change doesn't happen overnight. But true transformation occurs incrementally, layer by layer, until the cumulative effect becomes undeniable. Consider Sarah, who once dismissed mindfulness as impractical. Her turning point came during a particularly stressful week. Exhausted and overwhelmed, she decided to commit to 5 minutes of meditation each morning, not because she believed it would work, but because she had nothing left to lose. Day by day, those 5 minutes expanded to 10, then 20. Months later, she noticed subtle shifts, fewer outbursts, deeper connections, a steadier sense of calm. Habits stick when they align with your identity. Instead of thinking, I want to meditate every day, frame it as, I'm someone who prioritizes peace. When actions reflect your values, motivation flows naturally. Here are some strategies for building sustainable habits. 1. Stack new habits onto existing ones. Attach a new practice to an established routine, meditating immediately after brushing your teeth. 2. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge progress, no matter how minor. Each step forward reinforces commitment. 3. Anticipate obstacles. Identify potential barriers, e.g., lack of time, distractions, and plan solutions in advance. Dialogue. A shared commitment. One Saturday afternoon, Maya invited her friend Rachel over for tea. They sat in her sunlit kitchen, surrounded by the comforting aroma of freshly baked cookies and the gentle hum of conversation. After discussing recent projects and personal updates, Rachel leaned back in her chai, sighing contentedly. You seem different lately, Rachel said, studying Maya thoughtfully. More grounded. Maybe? What's changed? Maya smiled, stirring honey into her cup. Honestly, everything and nothing. I've just been focusing on small, consistent changes. Morning routines, gratitude, practices, boundaries. Rachel raised an eyebrow. Boundaries? That sounds intense. It's simpler than it sounds, Maya replied. It's about protecting your energy, so you can give your best to the things that matter, like saying no to unnecessary commitments or surrounding yourself with supportive people. Rachel nodded slowly, absorbing the idea. I could use some of that. My schedule feels a runaway train lately. Start small, Maya suggested. Pick one thing, maybe a morning ritual or a gratitude journal, and see how it feels. Over time, those little shifts add up. Rachel grinned, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Conclusio. N. Building a life of peace. Lasting inner peace isn't a destination. It's a journey, a continuous process of nurturing yourself and your surroundings. Through thoughtful routines, gratitude practices, and intentional habit building, you create a foundation that sustains you. Rough life's ups and downs. As Maya closed her journal that evening, she reflected on how far she'd come, not in miles traveled or achievements earned, but in moments cherished and lessons learned. Her path hadn't been linear, nor had it been easy. Yet, each step brought her closer to the harmony she sought. In the final chapter, we'll recap the key lessons from our journey together and offer encouragement for continuing your exploration of inner peace. Until then, ask yourself, what daily practice will I commit to today? This chapter ties together the book's themes and practical advice, offering readers actionable steps for integrating peace into their everyday lives. Its pacing ensures engagement while maintaining continuity with previous chapters and preparing readers for the concluding reflections in the next conclusion. Embracing He journey to inner harmony. The horizon within. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm, amber glow across Maya's garden. She sat on her weathered wooden bench, sipping chamomile tea as the evening breeze carried the faint scent of blooming jasmine. The world around her seemed to exhale, a gentle reminder that endings are not conclusions but transitions. Just like this moment, her journey toward inner peace had been neither linear nor final. It was a spiral, circling back to familiar themes, yet always revealing something new. As she reflected on the months since she'd embarked on this path, Maya realized how much had shifted, not just in her external circumstances, but within herself. Her home was no longer cluttered with distractions. It had become a sanctuary for calm. Her relationships were healthier, rooted in mutual respect and clear boundaries. And her mind, once a battleground of stress and worry, had softened into a space of presence and possibility. Yet, none of these changes happened overnight. Each step forward required courage, patience, and trust in the process. This book has been your companion along a similar journey, a guide to understanding, cultivating, and sustaining inner peace. Together, we've explored the barriers that hold us back, the science behind our thoughts and emotions, and the practices that anchor us in stillness. We've learned to set boundaries, nurture supportive relationships, and create environments that reflect our deepest values. Now, as we reach the end of this chapter, let's pause to honor what you've accomplished and look ahead to the road that remains. Recap of key lessons learned. Let's revisit the milestones of this transformative journey. 1. Understanding inner peace *, you discovered that inner peace isn't the absence of chaos but the ability to remain centered amidst it. It's about acceptance, resilience, and connection to yourself, others, and something great. 2. Identifying barriers * you confronted the sources of stress, anxiety, and emotional baggage that once felt insurmountable. By naming them, you began to dismantle their power over why. 3. Harnessing the science of mindfulness * you explored how thoughts shape emotions and behaviors, learning to rewire your brain through mindfulness and cognitive reframe. For cultivating emotional balance * you practiced managing emotions without suppressing them, developing resilience, and embracing self-compassion as tools for navigating life's aims. 5. Exploring spirituality * you connected with something larger than yourself, finding meaning and purpose in acts of service, gratitude, and tie-in. 6. Designing peaceful environments * you transformed your physical spaces into havens of calm, recognizing the profound impact they have on your mental state. 7. Setting boundaries * you learned to protect your energy by saying no without guilt and surrounding yourself with positivity and support. 8. Building sustainable habits * you adopted daily practices, from morning routines to gratitude exercises, that sustain your peace over time. Each lesson built upon the last, creating a foundation strong enough to weather life's storms. But remember, knowledge alone isn't enough. True growth comes from action. The small, consistent choices you make every day to prioritize your well-being. Encouragement for continuous self-growth and practice. Inner peace is not a destination. It's a practice. There will be days when clarity feels effortless, and others when doubt clouds you. Our vision. That's okay. Growth isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Even the smallest effort matters. A single deep breath during a stressful moment. A kind word spoken to yourself or someone else. These acts ripple outward, shaping the fabric of your life in ways you may never fully see. Consider Emma, whose gratitude journal started as a reluctant experiment. Over time, those nightly entries became a lifeline, pulling her back to joy even on her darkest days. Or James, who initially dismissed affirmations as too woo-woo, but later credited them with helping him overcome imposter syndrome. Their stories remind us that transformation begins with tiny, intentional steps. To continue your journey, commit to one actionable promise today. Will you dedicate 5 minutes each morning to mindfulness? Will you write down 3 things you're grateful for before bed? Will you set a boundary that honors your needs? Whatever you choose, approach it with curiosity rather than judgment. Treat yourself as both student and teacher, exploring what works best for you. Final words of inspiration. Peace is a journey, not a destination asterisk asterisk. As Maya closed her eyes, listening to the rustle of leaves and the distant chirping of crickets, she felt a deep sense of gratitude, not for having arrived at some mythical endpoint, but for being present in the unfolding. Life, after all, is movement. Seasons change, tides ebb and flow, and so do we. Inner peace isn't about freezing time or escaping reality. It's about flowing with it, adapting gracefully to whatever arises. You've taken the first steps on this path, and now the invitation is yours to keep walking, keep learning, keep growing. Along the way, you'll encounter obstacles, but also beauty, wisdom, and NTS of pure grace. Trust that every challenge carries a lesson, every setback an opportunity to begin again. Remember, too, you're not alone. Countless others share this journey, seeking the same harmony you crave. Reach out, connect, and lean on one another. Together, we create a web of support that uplifts everyone within it. So heart, dear reader, whether you're just beginning or returning to this work after ours away, know this: peace is possible. It lives in the quiet spaces between breaths, in the warmth of sunlight on your skin, in the laughter of loved ones. It's here waiting for you to notice. And when you do, may you carry it gently, sharing its with the world. 4. Peaceful mind, peaceful life. The secret to finding true inner harmony. 5. Spiritual Awakening Book 4. Author, Serafina Hartwell. Narrator/producer, Soul Sanctuary Audio. Copyright Serafina Hartwell. For the update audiobook by click follow Soul Sanctuary Audio.